session. The goal of today's session is to learn how to transform your presentations, meetings, and honestly, your classes to make them a little more interactive and engaging by using Slido. We're not just going to talk about it, you're actually going to experience it as a student, as the end user, and then we'll flip the script and I'll show you behind the scenes as well throughout today's session. So as we get started today, I would love for you to take a look at that QR code, or you can go to slido.com and enter in the code. So I'm going to put that in the chat, slido.com, and there's our code. You can join from your mobile device. You could also join from your phone. I'm sorry, that is your phone or your computer. I think it would depend on your modality, to be honest with you. If I'm presenting this online through Zoom, I'm probably going to give the link and ask that they sign in that way. If I'm in class, a lot of them have their phones usually. So maybe they just want to go on through the QR code. So before we get started, I just want to do some introductions. So first we have Dr. Laura L. Thompson. She's an instructional designer here at Stanton campus with me. She's graciously letting me co-host today with her for one of our tech spotlights. And I'm Jenna Cinnamon. I'm an ID at the Stanton campus as well. I know we have familiar faces today, but if you are watching the recording, please feel free to ever connect with us for our professional learning series. So we're going to kick it off with a survey. How are you feeling today? This is a poll that should come through on your mobile device, or if you sign into the web version. It looks like we have 75% of us with the smile, one with the heart eyes. And I always love this because these all might mean different things to different people. You know, this is a busy time of year around the college. So it's okay if your face would be something a little different. It did come through anonymously, which I think is great. So if you use a poll like this, you can use the emojis, or you could put different criteria. Oh, I see a straight face. I don't want to make assumptions. Does anyone want to describe their straight face and what that meant to them? No. Maybe it's all the grading this week, right? Just the straight face down to business wasn't me. All right, April Higgy, I hear ya. All right, so for our session today, I've kind of grouped it into 3 different sections. First, we're going to meet Slido, what it is, what it can do. Go over a few different use cases, because the reality is we can talk about these great tech tools, but where does it actually come into play in your role here at the college? And then finally, we're going to slide into action, and I'm going to show you how I use it on the instructor side and give you some time to sign in yourself. So let's meet Slido. Slido is one of my personal favorite tools. Everything that I'm showing today is with the free basic version. No, we don't have an institutional license, and honestly, you probably don't need one. You don't want to have Slidos maybe in between every single slide. So there are some limitations with the basic, but if you use it strategically, it really gets the job done. So Slido is a way to do live polls. You can also have it as a Q&A session. It makes some really cool word clouds. You can do some quizzes and also some surveys. My personal favorite is usually the word cloud. I'll show a couple use cases about that in just a few minutes. And honestly, even the Q&A session. I think a lot of people think Slido is just for the online synchronous courses, but it's not. I also adjunct for the college, and I use Slido in my face-to-face course as well. So the Q&A session, I think, is a game changer, because you can have it up so participants can drop questions throughout class and not have to feel that, oh, let me raise my hand, let me speak out. It's a really low stakes way for students to ask questions. Now, when we talk about any ed tech, we really do like to discuss the accessibility of this technology. So when we're talking about accessibility, we're talking about it being accessible to all learners, no matter how they access the tech, whether they're using a screen reader or keyboard navigation. There's just a lot of things that go into play with accessibility. So I'm going to read Slido's statement and then I'm going to kind of dissect it a little bit. So Slido says, we try our best to give voice to everyone and make sure Slido is also accessible in various environments and to people with disabilities. Slido comes with several accessibility features to help the blind and the visually, hearing, and mobility impaired users. We will continue testing Slido regularly and make improvements based on the results to ensure everyone can be involved in the conversation and interact with Slido. So one big win about Slido is that they did have an accessibility statement. That's one thing I always check when I want to bring a new tool into my courses. Is it accessible? Well, let's be honest. Accessibility, to make something 100% accessible, that's almost impossible. But our goal is to have a commitment to accessibility and that continuous improvement. Slido also had their VPAT easily accessible on their website. That is a document that self-discloses how they meet or do not meet the digital accessibility WCAG standards. I went through their VPAT and there's a couple things I wanted to highlight, both the good and the bad, because I think we should be transparent when we have these conversations. So the first up is a screen reader. It gets a check mark. It is possible to use Slido with screen readers if you're using both Apple or other Google, Chrome, those type of environments. VoiceOver works really well in Apple, and in Google Chrome, there's an awesome screen reader extension as well. So our students who may be using a screen reader, they can also still use Slido. As for keyboard navigation, so that's a user who's using their keyboard instead of using their mouse to navigate the system. The primary functionalities, such as joining a Slido, questions, responding, are accessible while using a desktop or a laptop. So that might be something we recommend to our students is maybe they don't want to use their phone, right? If they're tabbing through things, every student is different in how they want to navigate things. So it's okay to give the options out there so they can join how they would like. On Slido's website, they even gave the directions about how their keyboard navigation works, which I thought was a great disclosure as well. Now, there are a couple things that didn't get gold stars. So color contrast talks about the foreground and the background, right? That things are easy to see. They have a high enough contrast. Digital accessibility standards, it depends on the size of the text or the graphic. Some images are not visible under high contrast system or high contrast color schemes. So keep that in mind if you are using graphics, that you do test them to make sure that they're easy to be seen. They have a high contrast. And finally, alt text. Alt text is alternative text that gives descriptions to an image so that if I can't visually see the image, I could read the description to get the same understanding. Some images do not have alt text defined, but you can think of when you want to use an image and when you don't. So in today's session, we did that poll in the beginning. Those were emojis. I could have changed that up by using text to give those options some words. The other items we're going to do today will all have text instead of images. So let's go into some use cases, right? This is a cool tool, but where does it fit in my role? The three big buckets that I like to kind of put Slido in are either community building, activating strategies, and knowledge checks. So community building is that, how is everyone? Getting a pulse on your students. It doesn't always have to be content related. An activating strategy is a way to get those juices flowing for your students. Maybe you're starting a new topic or you want to connect it to something that you've already done. You want to activate their prior knowledge. And a knowledge check, that is an awesome formative assessment. So it's that formative, which is to inform your instruction. A knowledge check lets you know, did your students get it or not? Do I need to reteach anything? Do any students need some extra scaffolding to get them to the mark? So first up is community building. And I demonstrated that at the beginning of this session, right? Ideally, if this was in a class session, we would have a conversation. Does anyone want to share why they feel that way today? I know I gave the smile. I love that it's sunny out today. I'm surrounded by really great people, and Dr. Thompson invited me to join today. But then you might have people who don't want to share, and that's okay too. But it's a way to kind of get a pulse on your students. A phrase I like to say is connection before content. I know we have phenomenal instructors here at Delaware Tech, and you guys go out of your way to really value your students and get to know them. So using Slido as a way to do a connection before content is just another tool in your toolbox. Now, get a reaction. We can also, put a statement up and ask students how they feel about that statement, right? It might be like midterms are approaching. How do you feel? There's so many different ways that you could use Slido for different community building. It doesn't just have to be a poll. You could also do it as a word cloud. What word comes to mind when you hear final exam? And you might be really surprised what students share out. Some might be excited, some might be scared, some might be panicked. And it can help you have just open and honest dialogue with your students. So, activating strategies. These are the ways we want to hook our students. Back in the day, I maybe would have said maybe like a warm up, something like that. The world of education constantly evolves, and we use some different buzzwords throughout the years. So an activating strategy, like I said before, is to get your students thinking. This could be a word cloud where you ask a question about a topic and you get them to put their words on there. If they repeat a word, it grows. So you can see that multiple students have said that word. I think a word cloud is a great way to give students just a blank slate to think. You can even enable it to not display the words until you click to the next side or click to reveal it. So just one way is an activating strategy is a word cloud. There's also open text responses that we'll see in a little bit today. Quizzes, polls, you can choose whichever type of question that you'd like to do. So if I'm using this in my classroom, I teach Math for Teachers 2, and our most recent topic was on dividing fractions. So something I might ask my students is, tell me one rule that you remember about dividing fractions. And they could maybe tell me keep, change, flip. Maybe they say you need the reciprocal. So it would be just a way for me to connect something that we've talked about previously to re-jog their memory before we dive into our next lesson. And the final use case that I tend to use a lot is the knowledge check. Our students, yes, they're adult learners, but they need low stakes opportunities to check their understanding. Slido is a great way to do so. It is anonymous, so you're not going to know who got it right or wrong, to be completely honest with you. And that might actually help the students participate. They'll know, they will get the feedback, and then you can see the entire landscape of your course. And this is too funny. My screenshot said, what tech tool can be used to poll your students? And there's actually 2 answers on there. And you can also do multiple select questions. I'm going to demonstrate that shortly. So a knowledge check is just a formative check. This is not graded, not held against students, and it's just an opportunity for them to self-assess and for you to gauge where they are. And you can even keep or remove a class leaderboard, which is a great way to gamify this if you want to. I tend not to use the leaderboard, but it is an option if you'd like to. So I'm about to go to the next slide, and I'm going to pose a question to all of you. I know we come with a wide variety of backgrounds and we have different roles that we serve here at the college, but what is a specific way that you could use Slido in your current role? It should have came up in your Slido, a open text response question. And if you notice, I have it stuck on this screen. For this one, I have it to not reveal until everyone's had a chance to respond. Wait time, not a strong suit of mine, but it is a good way to give students an opportunity to think and respond before revealing what everyone has said. Oh my goodness, look at all of these responses. I love this. And if you notice, they're all anonymous. Now, sometimes I might say out loud to my students, does anyone want to claim this? Like, this is an awesome thought. Can you elaborate on that? So you can open it up so people can claim their statements. That's the mentality I use. So poll questions before and after PD events. Poll students during class to check for understanding. I could use Slido for asking poll questions during our CCIT book club sessions. I think that's April Higgins. She puts on a wonderful media mixer. To make sure we're all on the same page with understanding a concept before moving on. Absolutely. Oh, let me go back. Lo siento could be used to enhance a team meeting and PD sessions to indirectly support. Oh, and I'm going to scroll down to financial aid trainings. Yeah, you can brighten things up a little bit. It doesn't matter if you're an instructor, a faculty member, you work in financial aid, student services, whatever it might be. We've all sat in meetings that are a little dry sometimes, or you really just don't know if your audience got it. So this anonymous tool is a really great way to check in. Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for participating. So I really want to chat briefly about Slido across modalities. We have a wide variety of course offerings here at Delaware Tech, right? We have face-to-face, online asynchronous, online synchronous, hybrid, and high flex. And the reality is Slido can be used everywhere. I said earlier, a lot of people, I think Slido, online learning. That is just one option. You can use it across all modalities. We're going to talk about the integrations in just a second. And the reality is, I want you to be able to design something or implement Slido no matter your delivery method. So I think we should be working smarter and not harder. So there are some pros and cons about these different integrations. But the reality is everything can be designed on Slido's actual website, and you'll create a free account using your Dell Tech Google. And then once you have it housed there, you can choose your integration method. So once you sign into Slido, that I'll demonstrate in just a minute, to the left, there's an option for integrations. They do have so many options. They have PowerPoint, Google Slides, Teams, WebEx, Zoom. So the ones related to us, we don't normally meet with our students on Teams. I think we use Zoom the most. And depending on the instructor or the department, you might be a PowerPoint person, or you might be a Google Slides person, or you're both. So I'm actually going to show you behind the scenes of both of those platforms to show you the integration as well. For Zoom, I want to be honest with you. We do have Slido as an app on Zoom. It is great. I'm not going to lie to you. However, if I'm thinking work smarter, not harder, if I'm already going to use a slide deck for my face-to-face, I might as well just implement the Slido there instead of worrying about it in my Zoom interface. So right now, we're on Zoom, but I am not using the Zoom Slido integration. I'm using the PowerPoint one. So it is an option by all means. It is a free app in our Zoom. So when you sign into your Zoom account, it's at the bottom, it says apps. You might have to search for it, and then you'll sign in once you create an account. But it is not my preferred method, but it is definitely an option if you'd like to go that route. Google Slides. I'm a Google person. I do like Google quite a bit, and it is an extension in Google. So it doesn't come natively in Google Slides. At the top, you would select extensions on the toolbar, and then you would actually have to search for Slido and add it in. It'll pop up the side panel for you to log in and get started. And for today, I'm actually using PowerPoint. I'm learning to like PowerPoint. Dare I say that out loud? I think I do like PowerPoint quite a bit. Normally I work in Canva, but I designed my presentation in Canva, exported it to PowerPoint, and just threw in my Slido integration. To download the Slido integration for PowerPoint, it is free on Slido's website, and it is so easy to use. I'm going to show you the behind the scenes in just a second. So I have a question to check your understanding. What platforms can Slido integrate with? Zoom, PowerPoint, Google Slides, and/or Brightspace. And one reason I like doing things like this, I've used Kahoot and these other gamification platforms before, but the timing is really hard to gauge ahead of time. I like that in Slido, I can self-gauge this. And I'm going to go ahead and see what we said. Ooh, Zoom, PowerPoint, and Google Slides. Those three are all correct. Now, this was a trick question. Can it integrate in Brightspace? So Brightspace is our LMS. D2L's Brightspace is where we house our courses. And it doesn't have a direct integration. That doesn't mean that you can't still use it with your asynchronous courses. I'm going to show an example of how I embedded it into an announcement, or you could drop a link. So you can still use these tools in Brightspace, though it doesn't have a true direct integration. So sorry for the trick question, but I wanted to see where we were. So we're going to slide into action. I know we're cheesy on this Tuesday, but before I give you a tour and give you a chance to develop one, I want to talk about a few best practices. You honestly want to keep the questions short and clear. You don't want to give a big paragraph because, right, we all have different reading rates. What if they're using a screen reader and they have to navigate to it? So keep them short and clear. And you notice that I'm also reading them aloud. So maybe someone didn't join. Maybe their phone's dead. Maybe they don't have a computer with them that day. You know, you can still have people participate in a variety of ways. Don't be afraid to mix formats. You can use a word cloud sometimes, a poll sometimes, a quiz. Pick and choose what's going to work best. And plan the interaction at key moments. Don't just do something to do something. I know I've been guilty of that myself. We find a shiny new tool and we would just want to use it right away. Think about purposefully planning where these interactions go. Summarize your responses live if you can. I know in the asynchronous world, it won't be live, but they're going to respond to these things. Now what? That's something that you want to summarize what your students or your audience has said, and maybe even clarify some misconceptions. I know personally when I'm doing a quiz format, I'm already planned in my head why the wrong answers were wrong. Sometimes assessing our learners and our audience isn't just about selecting the right answer, because guess what? We don't want them to memorize questions, but we want them to be able to explain why something is correct and why something isn't correct. So summarizing the responses is a great strategy. And finally, now what are you going to do? You need to use these results to guide your next steps. There are many times that I've delivered a lesson or a PL and it's didn't go as planned. And so I have to go back to the drawing board and I have to see what can I do differently. And maybe that means I'm changing my lesson for next week. Maybe that means I'm going to change up my slides. I had my pacing wrong. All of the things that we do are truly an iterative process, just like our students learning, right? It's okay for them to revise their thinking, and it's okay for us to revise our strategies as a facilitator, as an instructor as well. It is really neat to kind of see the comparison between the student and the instructor view. So on the left is if you were joining for the web version today, the view you might have seen, or you may have joined on your mobile device. And then on the right is actually what I see behind the scenes in PowerPoint when I have these slides ready to go. So I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of a tour of a couple different things to show you how I'm managing this behind the scenes. It's seamless. And also how to sign in and stuff like that before you create your first one. So this is PowerPoint. I have it linked to my OneDrive. And at the top right, I have the Slido add-in. So I downloaded it for free and it installs super fast. Honestly, it was less than a minute. And it's just a link here ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this slide for now. I'm going to design my presentation and select Slido. Now on the right-hand panel, it gives me some different options. You can see some of my options are grayed out right now. It's because I've hit my limit for this presentation. With the basic, you get to have 3 different interactions, and I have 3 different interactions. We had the how are you feeling today? We did the which platform does it integrate with? And oh my goodness, we had one more. Where can you use it in your role here? So you are limited to 3. And you also have the joining slide. So I simply select and it added it add here to the bottom. And I'm just going to slide it to where I would like to use it. I can select add interaction at the bottom and do the same. I could add a quiz. I can do the audience Q&A. I can change things up. I'm going to go to how are you feeling today? And I am going to delete this one. All righty. So I'm here and I can see that I have an existing polls. And I can just select it and add it. So I don't always need to recreate the wheel. So you can create one and use it across multiple courses. You can move things around and it plops right in. And I have it set to show results immediately. If I take a look at one of the different ones we did, so let's go to the, what is a specific way that you would use it? I'm going to delete this one for now. Oh, I don't want to delete that one. Actually, that one, you guys had great responses. I'm going to delete what platforms. I'm going to delete the slide out. It says existing polls and multiple choice. And I can just add it. Say I made a mistake. I can edit it. And I have it set to allow individuals to select multiple options. You can also add an image, but we talked about the limitation with alt text for accessibility. And you can also, from the menu item, reset results. So say you're going to use this for multiple courses, multiple sessions, you want to be able to have that option there. I'm going to pull up my Google Slides version. Same slide deck, different platform. Not gonna lie, Canva doesn't translate to Google Slides as pretty as PowerPoint does. So that's actually been my little bit of a shift for PowerPoint lately. So in my Google Slides, I can select extensions, add-ons, and I would select get add-ons. You can see that I already have a few listed and I have Slido for Google Slides. So you would just go to add-ons, get add-on, and when it loads in the search, you would type in Slido. I already have mine installed. You would simply select it and yours would say install. When you select it, it just opens the side panel over here to the right. So I'm going to close it and let me open it just to demonstrate. It's working, it's thinking, and it's eventually going to load. The first time you use it, it is going to prompt you to sign in. But you notice this is the same. This is the same layout. So it's a really easy to use approach that I'm going to do the joining slide. Let me add it in slowly but surely. And you can see it added it right where I wanted it. I'm going to go back and add another interaction. Let's add in, how are you feeling today? It's adding it. And then I can move it where I want it. So you can see that the results are still there. So even though I'm bouncing between platforms, they're all talking to Slido, which makes it really nice to house those results. And now, Slido itself. So I am going to go to my homepage. So I am signed into Slido. You can see that it says upgrade. I'm not upgrading. I'm not paying for it. We're using the free basic version. And here's the current one I'm using, Slide into Action. It's active now. With the basic version, you can keep them open for 1 week, which is awesome if you're using asynchronous or you teach the same class but on different days throughout the week. It is foolproof. And it's really cool to have students across different courses be able to collaborate, in essence, right? They can all add to that word cloud. And you can maybe look for trends across your courses. So there's a couple options here. This is where I can quickly get my link, my code. I can duplicate it. I'm going to go inside of this one. And on the left-hand side are analytics and settings. So I can see 8 out of 16 Slido participants engaged in this. So how many people accessed it and how many people participated. I can look at the breakdown for each of these, just like we saw earlier. Something that I picture myself doing, I've done in the past, is once students respond to all of these, say in class, I download them and then I post them to an announcement as like a follow-up to our lesson. So students can remember those key takeaways that their classmates, that their peers shared out, or other members of the audience. And now the settings. Something I absolutely love that even the basic version has is the option for co-host. That is awesome if you're working with a co-presenter, right? I could have added Dr. Thompson today if she was going to manage this behind the scenes. You may have more than one instructor in a course, or you might just collaborate with others. Why not? How cool would it be to have Math for Teachers students from Wilmington and Dover and Georgetown all participating? Full disclosure, you can have up to 100 participants. So this is not going to be a great event for a college-wide thing because we are limited to 100, but it is a really cool way to think about the collaboration piece. There is integrations here on the left, and this gives you, for example, PowerPoint, how to quickly download that. Google Slides, get the add-on. Zoom, we already have it added. You do not need to do that. But then you can also embed it. You can get an embed code. So I'm going to show you one of my many sandboxes. And I posted it here as an embed. Right now, there's no active polls. So let me go and I'm going to activate one. I'm going to hit the play button. And it is officially active. And you can see now in my announcement, it's right there. I could also post a link for it to be asynchronous. There's so many different ways that you could use this across any of your modalities. So I encourage you to think flexibly and collaborate with others. So before you sign in, I do want to show you the Slido's website. No, we don't pay for it. I'm going to say that again. I don't anticipate that either, but you can do so much with the basic version. You can have up to 100 participants and you can have 3 polls per slide. And you also can include co-hosts. Those are the big things that I find pretty awesome, ready to go no matter what. Yes, there are paid versions, not discounting those, but knowing the framework you do have to work within is great. There's plenty of things that you can still get started with. So what I'd like to do for our remaining time is I would really love for you to try out Slido. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat. You're going to go to slido.com. And at the top right, if you've not created one already, you're going to select sign up. It is free. Okay. And you're going to sign up with Google. And if you're already signed in, it might show. So you can see my 2 Google profiles that I'm currently signed into. I've already created one. So mine's going to let me just sign in. And once you're in, I want you to go to the top right and I want you to create a Slido. It can be just a fun one, but I want you to give it a shot. Oh, Amy, go ahead. I'm so sorry. I just saw your hand raised.
No problem. Two quick questions.
Yeah.
One, am I correct in that Slido does not work if you are building PowerPoint online?
Correct. It has to be the application on the computer. I'm glad that you asked that.
Okay. And then because a lot of the presentations I do is I'm going into classes. So when I get into the room, I'm going to have to download that extension again.
Oh, that is a great question. And I am uncertain if it stays with your profile or not, but I will find out, Amy, today. I'll ask my IT buddy and I will get back
Okay.
to you. That's a
All right.
great
Thanks.
question. Yeah. So that might be a great reason to maybe use the Google instead. Okay. Thank you for saying that, Amy. That was really solid. And as always, if you have more questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm at Stanton, but I can work anywhere. I can help any of you. And we do have our CCIT survey that we graciously ask all of you to complete, if you would not mind, to give us feedback about today's session. I can't thank you enough for joining on this busy week, to say the least. And I'm hoping that you can walk away with a few more tools in your toolbox. So make sure you grab those two links out of the chat before you leave. The first is Slido's knowledge base, and the second is to complete our CCIT survey so we can make sure that we're giving you professional learning opportunities that you want to see.